Today we have a poem as possibly problematic, if you will, as it was once popular. We have The Passionate Shepherd to His Love by Christopher Marlowe, written in the late 1500s. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will appear, of course, in the poetry discussion playlist here on the channel. The poem, The Passionate Shepherd to His Love, reads as such: Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures prove that valleys, groves, hills, and fields, woods, or steepy mountain yields. And we will sit upon the rocks, seeing the shepherds feed their flocks by shallow rivers whose falls melodious birds sing madrigals. And I will make thee beds of roses, and 1,000 fragrant posies, a cap of flowers, and a kirtle, embroidered all the leaves of myrtle, a gown made of the finest wool, which from our pretty lambs we pull, fair lined slippers for the cold, with buckles of the purest gold, a belt of straw and ivy buds, with coral clasps and amber studs. And if these pleasures may thee move, come live with me and be my love. The shepherd's swains all dance and sing for thy delight May morning. If these delights thy mind may move, then live with me and be my love. So, this is going to be an interesting line here. We have what would appear on the surface to be basically your standard love poem, a poem of seduction, a poem of love, a poem of hoping to quote unquote move the beloved. But the title makes us wonder about some of the things herein. The speaker in this poem, is he a shepherd? By trade, a shepherd. There is a very perhaps amusing way to take this poem. Is this a shepherd speaking to his sheep? We would hope not. But then, if this is not a shepherd speaking to his sheep, it's a person speaking to another person, right? So when we are examining this poem from that perspective, and we're going to completely ignore the other perspective that one might take when reading this poem. We have someone, the shepherd, the speaker, and we think that this is a legitimate shepherd because of this line, right? Or is this metaphorical as well? From our pretty lambs we pull fair lined slippers for the cold. The shepherd speaking to his love, right? The passionate shepherd to his love. This becomes a poem which is a more experienced person speaking to a less experienced person. The shepherd, if you will, the speaker in question here, is speaking to someone saying, hey, come live with me, come be my love, and we will prove everything anyone has ever said about love to be true. Anyone has ever said about passion to be true. Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures prove. Everything they say, we will make it so. This being the case, the living, the profession of the shepherd becomes twofold. It becomes someone speaking to their love, saying, hey, come live with me and be my love. Saying to them, hey, we're going to do this thing. We will be all that love is, but in this, he is moving. So This is an English poem. This would have been read by English readers. There is no notice that we are not living in that world, but there is notice that we are not existing in this poem in that world. Myrtle is a flowering plant. It is not of it. You don't grow it in England. You don't grow it anywhere that far north. So the actual act here that is being spoken of is not just love, it is moving or transplanting the beloved. The beloved in this poem, we can assume simply from the audience that would have been reading this poem, by the language this poem is written in, probably English, probably someone who is not from the land of Myrtle. So the shepherd here is not just a shepherd of lambs. The shepherd here is a shepherd of people, hoping to literally move his love with him. The shepherd here, hoping to move his love with him, is making the obvious overture that his love is like a lamb. A lamb in classic sort of symbology is someone more innocent. So through this poem, what our speaker is doing is gesturing to the beloved that he has a profession, he has a way to make money, he has some place for the two to be, right? This is not, we are both love struck and young. There is a quote unquote, as you would hear today, power dynamic in this poem between the beloved and the speaker. Not going to be all that unusual for the time period, but it's also going to be someone saying that this is a station from which I can offer you the life that I live could be the life that we live. This was, from my understanding, a very popular poem in its day, and you can see sort of why. The rhyme scheme AABB AABB is one that would lull you sort of to sleep, not to sleep. It would lull you into the complacency of listening to it. The themes are obvious enough that it would not take too much thinking to get into, right? So you look at John Donne and William Shakespeare, contemporaries here, that would be read and are thematically very deep, very difficult. This, it's interesting, is a poem that would be sort of, I think, more pop culture than would Shakespeare. Shakespeare, of course, wrote things that were very deep, but could be listened to, could be watched, the plays that he wrote, etc., by the masses. This isn't necessarily as deep as Shakespeare. There is a lot of conjecture, did Shakespeare really exist? Was Shakespeare really Christopher Marlowe writing under a different name? All of those things. In my opinion, poems like this really sort of prove that thought process obsolete. This poem is much more surface level and on the nose than you're going to get from Shakespeare. It's a whole lot less intricate looking at the language involved than you would necessarily oftentimes get from Shakespeare. And the language is not as intense as you get from Shakespeare either. But still, if you're looking for a poem that was popular in its day and might still invoke the hubba hubba today, not a bad choice. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do on this channel, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every week. There's poetry on the channel every Monday. We're currently going short story by short story through all of Ernest Hemingway and The 10th of December by George Saunders. There is a read-along right now for Carrie happening on the channel, which I promise I will finish. But yeah, hit the subscribe button to make sure you come back for more.